everybody, and welcome to Round Reviews, back with another Hong Kong content review, diving more into Johnnie To's kind of lineup. Don't worry guys, I will be doing more Jet Li and period-based movies very soon. I've got a couple of videos lined up finding different kind of jumping points for different kind of content, whether it's films I own, whether it's kind of series of movies that I'm quite curious about. And this one has become extremely interesting for me, and I really want to discuss it and review the movies themselves. Now, as you know, I'm a big fan of Johnnie To, a huge Johnnie To fan. I've watched about 22 of his movies up to this point, loads to get through still. I'm a big fan of that director, and even his most weakest films are still pretty goddamn entertaining, to say the least. Now, I came across recently a film called A Hero Never Dies, which I have reviewed for the channel. It's already up, and I really enjoyed that, and that was released in 1998. Now, there's a film that I saw in the reviews and comments of the people talking about, a film called The Longest Night, or Nite if you said it correctly. And this is produced and financed by his production company, Milky Way Image, which Johnnie To basically finds, upcoming inspiring kind of directors, people he's worked with, to basically make low-budget crime thrillers and go out there and basically get creative and have fun, and he backs them up. And a lot of the movies that I've seen so far produced by Johnnie To and on his production company have been pretty goddamn good. Limbo I really enjoyed, and he's got another one coming out soon called Mad Fate, I believe it's called, from the same director. Now, I came across this film and I figured, hey, this looks pretty good. It's got a very similar kind of storyline, kind of similar kind of beat to The Hero Never Dies, and it's try out kind of gangsters and more kind of questions and all that kind of stuff. Now, the director for this film, The Longest Night, is done by Patrick Yao. Now, he is an assistant director that's worked with Johnnie To and was an upcoming kind of director at the time. He also worked on Lifeline, which is a film that I have reviewed prior, which I haven't uploaded to the channel as of yet, so I want to do after this to kind of get it out there kind of thing. Now, getting into my notes, this is very interesting. Now, Patrick Yao controversy that happened during kind of 1997, 1998, he made 3 films under that production company with Johnnie To, a film called The Other Ones Dies, Expect the Unexpected, and his last one he did with the production company, The Longest Night, which I will be reviewing after this little section. Now, interestingly enough though, Johnnie To actually ghost directed or practically directed all 3 of these films and still give the credit to this director. Now, the interesting thing about it is that there was a bit of, back and forth kind of disagreements kind of thing with Johnnie To and Patrick Yao in terms of his ability to direct. He was an assistant director at the time. He gives him a big opportunity, and whatever reason, maybe he couldn't hack it. Maybe there was some pressures that he couldn't expect. We've seen this before with other kind of projects and other kind of movies. Hellraiser 2 also was another one. There's a big one with, Tombstone, with Kurt Russell taking on directing duties. So this is not really surprising. It does happen in the industry, but it doesn't get talked about as much. Johnnie To, being a fantastic kind of director and collaborator that he is, still give this guy full credit for the work that essentially he's done. Now, with this film, especially with The Longest Night, which I'll be talking about in a minute, he only directed 5 scenes. It's heavily re-scripted, rewrote by his kind of signature kind of writer, and Johnnie To took over directing duties for most of this film, essentially. And he's also directed the other 2 movies I've mentioned as well. And basically after this film, he left the production company and didn't come back and didn't work with Johnnie To again. So, interesting, very interesting kind of drama, controversial there. The fact that there were 3 Johnnie To films, ghost-directed Johnnie To films, or slightly uncredited films, is mind-blowing to me, and I gotta watch these films. I gotta see what they are, to see if they're usually his signature style, and kind of add them onto the list that I was completely unaware of. Interesting enough, though, on IMDb, he actually is co-directed and credited for the films. I don't think that any of these films have got major releases in terms of DVD or Blu-ray, so I'm very curious to see down the line if Johnnie To does get full credit for these films, or he's added on to the actual listing. So yeah, a little section there. What are your thoughts and opinions on that controversy? Were you aware of it? Please comment down below. Let us know your thoughts and opinions of that. I'm very excited to check out the other 2 movies that we'll be trying to hunt down and to kind of review on the channel as well. It adds on to the Johnnie To kind of official kind of ranking and kind of journey that I'm going on with that director at the moment. So very exciting. Essentially what this means, we've got 3 hidden Johnnie To films that technically he wasn't given full credit for, even though he did most of the work for it. That's really exciting to me, and that's really kind of got me buzzed a little bit to kind of talk about these films, and to hopefully they've actually been really, really good as well, and to kind of see what was going on behind the scenes, and the fact these are kind of smaller, low budget films, not kind of signature kind of Johnnie To. So I'm curious to see what he did under the pressure, under making these films successful and getting them out there, and talk about him on the channel for you guys. The film stars Tony Leung, which is from the Infernal Affairs series, a massive international star at this point, and Leung Chiu Wai, which is our kind of signature Hong Kong big star in a lot of Johnnie To films, a lot of collaboration with that director, and a lot of other Hong Kong movies that I've covered and reviewed on the channel. Both very highly acclaimed, brilliant actors in this film. Very similar to A Hero Never Dies, The Longest Night is a very kind of similar kind of movie in a classic kind of Johnnie To kind of signature kind of, direction for his kind of, filmography in a sense, with his production company, making very cheap, gritty, kind of, straight to the point kind of thrillers. Talks about kind of trial bosses, the more kind of questions about kind of, just crime ever pay, and this idea of kind of loyalty, kind of honor, and getting wrapped up in this kind of series of kind of twisted events that are ultimately ending into someone's ultimate death, essentially. And this film is no exception for that. Similar to Hero Never Dies, this film has a very similar kind of plot, but obviously has some different changes here and there. Essentially, you've got a contract that's going on for about 5 million between 2 triad bosses, both don't like each other. There's some kind of beef going on between them, and you've got essentially a bunch of characters in the middle that are playing catch up to find out who put the contract out. Someone is being set up, and there's a series of kind of murders and bodies and kind of characters that are coming into play. This film is a bit of a riff and kind of a nod to Unusual Suspects, which has a series of kind of twists and turns as the film goes along. It's a very simple, very straight to the point film. It's about an hour and a half. That's what I like about this film. It's kind of straight to the point, doesn't mess around. It's got a very kind of unique kind of style and kind of flavor towards it, with this kind of neon lighting. It's got a very kind of rich kind of, location vibe. It's set outside of Hong Kong. The film also has this very kind of unique, very stylized kind of, Godfather kind of riff score, which actually works well for the film in terms of setting a tone, in terms of the style. So the cinematography is very kind of mixed between kind of, fast-paced, kind of handheld, and it's kind of very keeping up with the action that's going on. It feels very kind of, much of an outsider, all set at night. Film, you've got Tony Leung, which is our kind of corrupted kind of, police official, who's just going around, basically doing what he's told. He's beating up kind of, people that are disrupting his kind of triad boss. He's beating them up. He's quite nasty. He's quite violent. Smashing hands kind of thing, and ripping off nails, and just a very unpleasant, very nasty kind of person, which is quite nice to see him playing a sort of a villainish kind of role. Very much a non-hero protagonist character, someone who is very deep into that kind of organization, someone who is basically being paid to do a job. And you've got this sort of mysterious character played by Lau Ching Wan, who's named Tony. He's a bald guy, he's got a tattoo, he's got a very signature kind of look to him, and he is a contract kind of assassin for hire that has come in to basically do a very specific task. And he's also got some series of kind of twists and turns that go alongside with that character, and the film plays along from that point onwards. And throughout the film, our corrupted cop character Sam basically finds himself in this kind of back and forth kind of cat and mouse chase kind of setup that's going alongside with him, with corpses showing up in his apartment with severed heads. You've got mysterious money kind of being found. You've got accusations. You've got a series of events that are basically pointing into one direction, and the film is very intense. It's very kind of fast paced. It has just enough character development, has just enough intrigue and kind of fascination that you kind of really get invested into what's going on. The action, the gunplay is very well done as well. Surprisingly quite violent in places as well. It's very brutal, and especially some of the actions by some of the characters, and especially what happens to specific characters throughout the film. There's a lot of head decapitations, there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of people getting run over. There's some bullet wounds. There's some really gorgeous looking shots. And essentially this is another kind of slice of Johnnie To's kind of commentary about tryout life. This idea of kind of, loyalty means absolutely nothing. You could be the most loyal soldier ever. You could be working with the same tryout leader for many, many years, and then when it's convenient, you'll be disposed of or you'll be used as a scapegoat. And this is shown quite a few times throughout the film, and without giving too much away, it's quite interesting how the film ultimately plays out by the end. Overall, The Longest Night is a very entertaining, very stylized, very kind of high energy, fast paced kind of thriller for an hour and a half. It's very well handled. Excellent performances by 2 million actors. I love the twists and turns that happen within it. I love the engagement factor and this idea of nobody's who they say they are kind of thing. Everyone is bought, everyone's corruptible. There's no hero characters in this film. There's no kind of silver lining or someone to kind of back up and root for. These are corruptible people, nasty people that are doing nasty things or doing things that they think they are in charge or in power, and this comes back to bite them. There is kind of like an ironic kind of feel towards the film, ultimately by the end of the film as well. There's some fantastic location set pieces, standard kind of, Johnnie To kind of, try our boss kind of ending that you would expect. The ending's not exactly surprising, but it is very fitting to the film, and this idea of within all Hong Kong movies is that you're either going to go to jail or you're going to die. And that has never been more true in this film for sure, absolutely. So what are your thoughts and opinions on The Longest Night, guys? Please comment down below. What are your thoughts and opinions on the other two movies? The Other Ones Die and Expect the Unexpected. I look forward to checking those two films out also soon, and to see what the Johnnie To does with those, and to see what kind of twists and turns and story beats those films have to offer. Meantime, guys, Amphlett Reviews, signing out.